Top 7 items I use for my tarps. You may not use these. You may not want to use these. You may use alternatives, but I don't like to mess around. This particular tarp is a DD Hammock tarp 4x4. It is 13 by 13 feet. Perfect square. It weighs 3 pounds dead on. Why 3 pounds? They advertise it different. One, this has the stuff sack. That weighs a little bit. And on my tarps, I add this. And I'm going to show you. So, I put that there. Do you see that? That is a bungee cord. Okay? That is connected to every tie-out. Is what that is. I don't like tying knots. Can't stand it. So, I want to just go quickly. And I don't like my straps on my tarps where there's no play. Like if it's a windy day and I just put it through the loop, okay, and now that's tight, I risk ripping that. I want some play in there, see? And I want it to be snug where it sheds the rain easier. Now, I carry this little bag, and this little bag comes in handy. It holds a bunch of these cords and all kinds of different ropes. Now, on the cord, it has these little plastic things. You see that there? That connects to the stretchy cord there. Look. See that? So that's easy. No knots, right? Weighs nothing. And then it goes down to a stake. Now, I also carry this for a ridgeline if I choose. I want to use a ridgeline. And it's this here. It's made out of Dyneema. And it has a couple pressic knots on it. And see if I can find it. And it has these tie-outs here. You can see. See those tie-outs? Now, I got this off eBay. I'll have a link to where I got it. But I believe the guy has a YouTube channel. He shows you how to make them if you want. I just thought it was easier to buy it. So, I have multiple cords in here. And again, in the description box, I'll have what this stuff is. And I'll have it linked to it on Amazon or whatever if you want to go the same route. So, this bag is from Cafaro. I stopped buying from them quite a few years ago when the company just wasn't doing very good. 5.9 ounces for all my cords. Now, the stakes that come with DD Hammock are garbage. I run these. These are titanium stakes. Very light, super light. I carry 18 of them, right?
Yes.
And I'll put it back in there. And then I'll put it on there. My stakes are 5.2 ounces for 18 stakes. That is crazy light. Not cheap, though. I think you get 6 for 20 bucks or whatever. And I bought quite a few. Normally, I only need 12. But I carry a few extras in case you lose one. And the reason for these stakes is because they slide in easy. You can push them in with your hands and your foot. And they pull out easy. That is very important. Where I go camping, it's in the wilderness. So a lot of trees. I don't need to worry about, I'm not camping in sand. You wouldn't use those in sand, by the way. Now, another item I carry is an actual tarp pole. You can buy these 2 at a time, 4 at a time. I do have 4. And people would say, well, why not just use a stick? And that's a great idea because now you're not having to carry this. And this one of these weigh about a pound, which is considered very heavy. Now, a lot of times with a tarp, just about most of your setups, you can get away with one. Okay, like if you're making a tarp tent, you put one in the middle and then you're good to go. Sometimes you need two. Like if you were to make an actual tent, one at each end. Two is ideal, but to carry 2 pounds is pretty hefty. Now, why I say you should buy at least one set, okay? If you go car camping, they're perfect. But I hope you're practicing with your gear. You set up your tarp in your yard, then go in with a tape measure and measure how high this was when you were done with that setup. Take your little notepad you should be carrying and write down what that measurement is. Now, you could carry a string on you with that setup, so you know that's the proper measurement you need. So now when you go out in the bush, you say, oh, I need a stick, right? So you go out there and find a stick along on that little rope you got and cut it off. Now you don't have to carry a pound. You know that's going to fit in there perfectly. If it's not that high, put some rocks under it or something. Raise it up a little bit. But one thing you're going to need is a doggy toy. Now I cut holes in this. See that? Is what I did. And that's made to go on here. So that goes on the end, see? Now, this goes inside the tarp, and the tarp presses here. So now there's no way for the tarp to be ripped. Some people will take a shemagh, wrap it around their rag. Maybe a shirt is what they'll do to keep from poking a hole in their tarp. So you could get rid of this if you wanted to. If you want to do that extra work. The ball weighs about 3 ounces. Now, inside the tarp, once you set up, unless you set up a certain particular configuration where part of the tarp is on the floor, you're going to be on the ground. Could be wet, could be damp. Okay? I run what's referred to as a Tyvek, is what I run. This thing is super light. So I put this on there, if I can get it. It's 7.2 ounces. This thing is crazy light. This gets spread out inside the tarp, and then my pad goes on top, and then I slip on top of that with my quilt. This is very important. Okay, it's going to keep my pad clean. It's going to keep my my quilt clean, those particular items. When I come back from a trip, this thing's filthy. Completely filthy. If you just shove this inside your pack, then you're going to have mud everywhere. And then when I do this, when I get back from a trip, I literally just throw it in the wash machine. And then I'll just throw it in the dryer. Sometimes throw a couple tennis balls in. And it just keeps getting softer and softer and softer. It takes a beating. It's called Tyvek, and people put it on houses. You can buy these any size you want off eBay again, or make your own. It's up to you. Some people put little round things where you can stake them. I don't. I just spread it out like a blanket and lay on top of it is what I do. Another item I bring, okay? I bring these. And a lot of people probably do not have a clue why they want to bring that. Let me show you these. These are very, very important, okay? See these? These are little clips. And I simply squeeze them. And they open. Super affordable, not expensive whatsoever. So what are the clips for? Well, I bring a big net like that. Now this net I could cut. I haven't felt like it. But basically, if I set up a tarp tent, a tarp kind of like an oval thing, I can take the clips and clip this to the front of the tent where I climb in. So now, none of the mosquitoes are coming in. They could though, right? I bring something else. This is referred to, and I have special clips in here for this. These are referred to as picks, okay? It is a green poison, and the smoke will kill the mosquitoes. Literally what I do with this is I will light 2 or 3 of these, okay? And I'll take a clip like this, for example, and I'll do that, is what I'll do. Light that in, and it goes this way. Now, I'll light 2 or 3 of these in different parts inside my tarp setup. One in the middle, one to the side, one by the door, and I'm basically smoking it. Now, I'm not going to have these going when I climb in and go to sleep. These are sitting and running for about an hour before I go to bed. And then what happens is every bug that is inside that tarp is dead. You will not have any mosquitoes. You will not have any flying insects. You will have nothing inside that tarp when you're done. Now, every time you add to this, you end up getting heavier, right? So in total, I'm probably looking at about 4 pounds, maybe 4 pounds and a few ounces, because I went with lighter stakes. But these are the top 7 things I take to make my home in my tarp a lot nicer. Now, I do take at least 1 tarp pole. Sometimes I take 2. It depends on how far I'm going. Like if I'm going for a whole 2 days, I don't take any tarp poles at all. I will make them when I get out there. But if I'm only going 2 miles, 3 miles, I'll take both poles. There's no sense in me messing around because with a tarp pole, I can extend it and shrink it, is what I can do. But this is my tarp setup. Doesn't mean you have to do that setup. But I have no knots. There's no knots in the ridge line. There's no knots on the tarp. And yet I have play where I can turn around and keep everything taut. Not one knot. Sometimes when I get into a place, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I see this great campsite. When I move my headlamp around, I'm like, God, I want to camp here. Well, I don't want to be sitting there playing with knots, trying to get something going. Now, I like winter camping. Right now it's summertime, 100 degrees, 90% humidity. It is crazy out there. I will not camp in this weather. But when I go out in the winter, it can go down to minus 20 below. Well, you ever try to use your hands when it gets cold? They don't work. Okay, your motor skills, it's almost like your fingers all become seized up. Now, another thing is old people, I'm 62, I have a touch of arthritis, start to have things like that. Well, your hands don't work as good. Okay, when you got to start messing with these little knots, not so good, not in my 20s no more. So, by using the rope I have set up with the clips I set up, there's no problem. Click it on the bungee, run it down to the stake, push the stake in, I'm good to go. Everything has to be considered for lightness, but at the same time, it's considered for comfort. And that's very important to me as I've gotten older. If I wanted to go super light, well, I would go with just the stakes, just my rope, just my tarp. And then you could sleep on the ground or whatever you choose to do. But I like to be comfortable, and I don't like to stress out. These are the top 7 items I use when I do tarp camping. Catch you guys on the next one. Like, subscribe. Check out the information in the description for more info on this stuff. Catch you guys on the next one.